Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Taylor and this is Venter's Bookshelf. It is that time. It is the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this last year and had an absolute blast with it. And I love just doing like a mid-year check-in with reading. I have been reading my butt off this year, and I can't even believe that I'm about to say this, but I read 102 books in the first half of this year. I've already hit my Goodreads goal for the year, which I set at 100, and I'm just interested and curious to see what I'm going to end the year at if I've already read 102 books. So let's start right in with the questions. Question number one is, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2023? So I have read a lot of books. I've had a lot of 5-star books, ones that I've loved. But I do have 4 books that I've read so far that I have dubbed my favorites of the year. The first one is The Language of Love and Loss by Bart Yates. I recently talked about this both in my Spring Quest Readathon vlog as well as my second quarter wrap up, so I won't spend too much time on it. But it is a literary fiction following our main character, Noah. He's in his late 30s and has just been told that his mom has ALS and is dying. She asks him to track down the baby that she gave up for adoption when she was a teenager, and it is a very moving family-centric story that really hit home for me when I read it, which was just after my mom passed. The second book that I have for favorites so far for the year is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is a Regency sort of paranormal romance, and oh my gosh, I did talk about it in my first quarter wrap up if you guys want a little bit more detail, but it was absolutely phenomenal. And the personified death character is my like favorite thing ever. I even found a song that totally evokes that character in my mind, and I'll leave that information in the description box here, but I absolutely loved that book. Next up for favorites is The Apology Project by Jeanette Escudero. This is one that I read for part 1 of my A to Z challenge, and it's one that's literally been sitting in my digital library for years. I'm so glad that I finally read it. It follows a sort of hotshot lawyer who, up to this point, has been a workaholic. Something goes down and she is forced to retire early, 2 weeks prior to her 40th birthday. And it just kind of devolves and evolves from there, and I connected to it so much. There's a subplot that deals with familial adoption and DNA tests and everything, and I super connected to that. And the last one that I have for this question is Bunny by Mona Awad. The insanity, the horror, the writing, just all of it. All of it is exceptional, and this is just an absolute stunner. The next question is, what is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2023? And for me, that has to be Paper Cuts by Ellery Adams. It is book 6 in the Secret Book and Scone Society series, which I've talked about in countless videos. I did read this for a readathon, so I will link that vlog here if you haven't seen it. And yeah, it just dives more into the backstory and the trauma of the main character of the series, which is Nora Pennington, as well as her friendships in her friendship group with June, Estella, Hester, and Sheldon. And yeah, just absolutely amazing. I've given every single book in this series 5 stars. Next up is new releases from this year that I haven't read yet but want to. And I do have 3 of them here. So I did put out a most anticipated releases video at the beginning of this year. Not all of the ones that are in that video that I haven't read yet are on this list, but these are the ones that are sort of top priority for me. And that's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I did read another book by Heather Fawcett earlier this year and absolutely loved it. I do own Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I just have not read it yet. And I was just approved for the arc of Emily Wilde Book 2, Map of the Other Lands. So I need to get on this one so I can read and review the arc. The next new release is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. As you guys know, Babel was my favorite book of last year, and I have read the first book in the Poppy War trilogy and am planning on reading the other 2 this month and next month. I'm doing a buddy read of the trilogy with some friends, and I am just really, really excited for her latest book. And finally, we have Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. This is a cozy mystery, and I actually have it here on my shelf. Right here. So I actually bought this because it was the May pick for the Cozy Hollow Book Club. Or I'm sorry, it was the June pick for the Cozy Hollow Book Club. My June was packed, and I unfortunately just didn't have time to get to this one. But I am determined to get it read this year. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And for me, that's 2. So the first one, of course, Foxglove by Adeline Grace, the sequel to Belladonna. I am so excited. I pre-ordered it. I cannot wait. And it releases in August. And the second one is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. And it is the sequel to, or I guess the prequel to Legends and Lattes. And I am very excited for that one. Legends and Lattes was a solid, cozy fantasy and one that just gave me all of the vibes, and I cannot wait to dive some more into that universe with this prequel. This next question is my biggest disappointment of the year. And for me, I have to split it kind of into 2. I have a specific book that was a big disappointment, but also I have a genre that has just been a pretty big disappointment to me. The horror genre for me has been super disappointing. I've talked about this in previous videos. I have been reading a lot of horror because I've been trying to find a book that's going to scare me. And I've been struggling. I'm not scared by these horror novels. And I've read quite a few this year. But I think it's just me. I think I'm just not scared by books. So that was pretty big disappointment. I was really hoping to be scared by a book, and it just didn't happen. Now, the specific book that was a disappointment for me was My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I gave this one 3.75 stars because it was not a bad book. It was more on the corny side of horror, I think, and it definitely felt more like a relationship study, character study, versus something with like a super involved plot. And everyone has seemed to love this book, and I didn't. So that was super disappointing because I was expecting it to be a 5-star book, and it ended up being a 3.75 star. Next question is, what was the biggest surprise of the year so far? And it has to be The Apology Project. Like I said, it's been in my digital library untouched for years. And it's one of my favorite books of the year so far. Like, I had no idea that it was going to be so amazing and that I was going to connect with it so much. And the part that I connected with the most, the familial side of the book, I hadn't even gone through that experience in my own life when I originally got this book. So the fact that I bought this book, which documented almost my exact experience, and then didn't touch it for years until a couple years after I've had my own experience with that kind of thing. It's just, it, like, universe. Universe. Okay, next one is new favorite author. So I don't have a solidified new favorite author so far. However, I do have ones that I want to read more from to see if they get solidified. So, Adeline Grace, Catherine Center, Emily Henry, Jennifer McMahon, Alice Feeney. These are ones that I was blown away by the first book that I read from them and think that they have potential to be new favorite authors of mine. I just haven't read enough from them to say for sure. New fictional crush has got to be Death from Belladonna. It's got to be Death from Belladonna. That character was so well written, so smoldering, sexy, just mm. What is your new favorite character? For me, that has to be Canthy from Can't Spell Treason Without T. She is like the embodiment of how I care about the people I love. And I really connected with her. And when she got anxious, I was anxious from events happening in the book. And yeah, I feel like kindred spirits with that character. So she's definitely my new favorite. Did you read any books that made you cry? I did. Um, so funny enough, they were both Fox and Burrow book club picks for Alexandra Roseland's Patreon. So good on you, Lexi. So first would be The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. It is a generational magical realism story, and it just got me up in the feels and it made me cry. And then the second one is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. And like I said, it was another book club pick, and it is a YA fantasy. And the storyline with our main character in that book and her stepmother, it transformed from like evil stepmother storyline to something that was so emotional and deep and heartwarming, especially for someone who is in a blended family. You know, I have a stepmother. I have one daughter from a previous relationship, so my husband is her stepfather. So the blended family aspect is something that is near and dear to my heart. And yeah, it got me. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book that I have bought this year? And I have two, and I did show them in my book haul video. If you haven't seen that one, go ahead and check it out. But I treated myself for my birthday and for Mother's Day to these beautiful classics editions from Barnes & Noble. So we have Little Women and Other Novels, which is the basically three Little Women universe novels, the original Little Men and Joe's Boys. And I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. I'm not normally a pink person, but I love this shade of pink. It's got the gilded edges and the ribbon bookmark and beautiful end pages. Just absolutely stunning, and I love how it looks on my shelf. And then, of course, I have here the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. And like, look at just the statues and all of this beautiful foiling. I love that it is almost like a parchment color. It also has the gilded edges and ribbon bookmark and beautiful end pages. And these are both faux leather bound as well. And they have a like textured spine. We've got ridges at the top and the bottom. And I just love these both so much. I think they are absolutely stunning. And I cannot wait to grow my collection. And final question is, what books do I want to finish by the end of the year? And it's not any like specific book really. I do have TBRs built for different blogs and different things and for readathons. But really, I just want to read more of my own TBR. Between my physical and my digital TBR, I have a little over 250 books that I need to read. I keep buying books and not reading them. Story of every book lover's life, it seems. So, yeah, my goal is to just read more of my own TBR throughout the rest of the year. I do have some like seasonal vlogs planned for the remainder of this year that I have pulled books solely from my own TBR for. So I'm really excited about those. And that's it. I do recognize that there are some other questions that are normally included in this tag. I did not include them because I didn't have an answer for them. They didn't apply for me this year. So if you enjoyed this video, always give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, ring the notifications bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming vlogs and recommendations videos. And yeah, halfway through the year, guys. It's hard to believe, but here we are. And put in the comments, what do you think I'm going to end the year at books wise? I've read 102 over the first half of this year. So give me a number. What do you think I'm going to read? Who knows? I may even turn it into a giveaway. All right, guys. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.